Hello and welcome back. Before I begin, I'd like to say a big thank you to Deborah J. Knights, who has become my latest subscriber. Thank you so much. I really appreciate your taking the time to subscribe. And now, on with the haul. I'd like to begin with, as usual, my borrowings from the Johns Hopkins University collection. First, I got Vengeance Is Mine, which is a continuation of my exploration of the works of Shohei Imamura. This one looks to be a little bit different from the rest of his work. It's less focused on the domestic problems and manipulations of sort of put upon women, and it is apparently based on the true story of a psychopathic rampage that this criminal went on. And I have not gotten a chance to see this yet. And then I also have not seen Abhijan by Satyajit Ray, or directed by Satyajit Ray. Ray is one of those directors who I feel like has done so much work, and I just have not seen nearly an adequate amount so far. The only two of his films I've seen were The Music Room and Days and Nights in the Forest, both of which I really liked. And it's not a lack of interest in his work, it's just sort of I get sidetracked. But this one, I'm actually not sure why I picked this one out of all his other films I have yet to see, possibly because I was just going alphabetically and it's Abhijan or The Expedition. But it looks really interesting. It's about a young man who moves to the big city, takes a job as a cab driver, and winds up being forced to work as a drug courier. And it's about all the, obviously, problems that come along with that. And now for one that I have not quite seen, but I have seen about half of it so far, is Carl Theodor Dreyer's Day of Wrath. Dreyer is a famous Danish director, and this is actually the first talkie of his that I've seen. I've seen 3 of his silent films, Vampire, The Passion of Joan of Arc, and what is called alternately Leaves Out of the Book of Satan or Leaves from Satan's Book. I really liked all of them, and I'm finally getting around to seeing his more famous sound films. This Day of Wrath is possibly his most famous, although I think Ordet or The Word is pretty well known as well. This one I'm really enjoying. It sort of combines the themes of The Passion of Joan of Arc with being burned at the stake and these questions of religion and religious persecution with the more horror elements of Leaves Out of the Book of Satan or Vampire. This is based on actual witch hunting cases from the early 17th century, and it begins with an older woman being accused of witchcraft and put to the question, i.e. being tortured, and finally confessing and being burned at the stake. And then it goes on with her daughter, who is married to a much older man, and the man's son comes home, who's about her age, and sparks are flying between them. And I believe, just according to the back of the box at least, that this younger woman is now going to wind up being accused of witchcraft. But I'm really looking forward to finishing this. Then I got, in a little bit different vein, I got Hamlet 2, which is kind of a raucous comedy. I did get a chance to watch this, and I don't know, it wasn't quite as clever as I hoped it would be somehow. It was, I mean, I expected it to be goofy, but I was, I think, expecting a little more sort of clever verbal humor. It definitely had its moments, and the great Catherine Keener is one of the supporting players, and she's great as always, but I didn't really feel like she was given quite enough to do. I mean, I wouldn't not recommend this. You could do a whole lot worse, but it just felt like the story didn't quite hang together as well, and there were some funny moments, but some things that were kind of dragged on, and of course there's some humor that's kind of in poor taste, but that sort of comes with the territory. So, I'm kind of in the middle on this one. And then, I have not seen this one yet, but I got Song of the South, which has no cover because apparently the library had to transfer this from a PAL VHS, which is a foreign format, because Song of the South is a Disney movie that they just won't distribute in the United States because it supposedly is just just has such potential to offend that it just can't be allowed to be seen. And just from what I've heard of it, it actually sounds pretty innocuous. It's, I think, loosely based on, or maybe not so loosely based, obviously I haven't seen it yet, on the Uncle Remus stories of Joel Chandler Harris. And I think the objections to the film are just that maybe it's not as racially sensitive as it could be or something like that. But just, as I say, from what I have heard about the film, it really doesn't sound all that bad. So I really don't watch that many Disney movies anymore, but I'm just really, really curious at this point just to see what all the trouble is about. And next, from University of Baltimore, I got View from the Top. I guess my brain just needed a vacation or something. I got Hamlet 2 and I got this. I don't know. I'm not really sure entirely why I felt like seeing this, because I'm not a huge Gwyneth Paltrow fan, and I don't know. I just, for some reason, it appealed to me. And I later realized that this is known as one of those just awful what were they thinking movies, which I didn't think it was that bad. I mean, not a great film, but reasonably entertaining. I think the whole woman has to choose between her career and her boyfriend thing is a bit hackneyed, but overall, you know, as I say, you could do worse. Then from Stevenson University, I did do worse. I got The Red Balloon. As you can see, this, or perhaps you can't see, but it says Children's Treasures Presents, so you would think this would be a film for children. And it's really pretty well known at this point. I was actually talking to my mother about it, and she said that when it was first released, it really wasn't promoted as a children's film. But at this point, it really is considered a classic children's film. And there's even a children's book that's based on it. Okay, no, this is really not a children's film. It's just, it's almost one of those films that I think adults like to think children would appreciate, because, you know, there's a child in it, and there's a balloon, and kids like balloons. I don't know. Even as an adult, I really just did not like this. It's, okay, I may be getting a little bit into spoiler territory, so if you have not seen this and you really want to see it, just wait till I turn the sound off till I put this down, because I'm going to get into spoiler territory a little bit. But to me, it was just like, sort of the Red Pony, the Yearling, Old Yeller, Where the Red Fern Grows, all those just really shamelessly manipulative, kill the kid's pet so that he can become a man type stories that I mean, the balloon, it gets deflated and stomped on, okay? It just felt really manipulative and kind of annoying to me. Obviously, many people disagree because it's considered a classic of world cinema, but I don't know. It's only 34 minutes, so you won't waste that much time if you just decide to see what it's all about, but it did not do it for me. But on a happier note, on to my borrowings from the Sights and Sounds department of Enoch Pratt Free Library. And I've seen most of these, and they were all really good, so yay! First I got The End of Summer, which is another film by Yasuhiro Ozu, who did Late Spring, which you may recall my checking out a couple of weeks ago. And Ozu is another one of those directors who I just feel like I have been kind of shamefully neglecting, even though I've really liked most of the things I've seen by him. I really liked Tokyo Story. Early Spring I was not so crazy about, and I think that may have been what sort of stopped me from pursuing him much further. But then I really liked Late Spring and decided I should get another one of these. And this is from the Eclipse series, Late Ozu. So I'm happy to report that the Pratt Library has that whole series, so there's plenty more where this came from. This is really his, Ozu's usual territory of just sort of the conflicts among families, between family members. Pretty quiet, you know, you're not going to get a lot of action here, but just really well done and very moving. In fact, the jacket copy on the VHS copy of Late Spring I had said that in Ozu's cinema, ordinary things happen to ordinary people in the most extraordinary ways, or conveyed in the most extraordinary ways, or something like that. And I thought that was really an apt description. So I watched this, I really liked it, would highly recommend it. And then I got The Gauchos, starring Douglas Fairbanks Sr. I was drawn to this because supposedly this is one of the darker Douglas Fairbanks Sr. films. And honestly, I didn't really think it was that dark, but it was a good, entertaining, swashbuckling film. Then I got Help, starring the Beatles and directed by Richard Lester. I'm really not that big a fan of the Beatles. They've done some songs I really like, the foremost being Paperback Writer, perhaps for obvious reasons. But I'm not a huge fan. But I love the director Richard Lester. He's done just some great films, including The Knack and How to Get It, and Royal Flash, and others that are escaping me right now. And I found this quite enjoyable. It was just fun. And last but not least, I have not seen this yet, but I got a film starring the great W.C. Fields, You Can't Cheat an Honest Man. And if you've made it this far, thanks for watching, and I hope you'll join me for my next video.